What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the No Name Podcast. It is your boy, Young Rich, back at it again with another episode today. And again, I just want to start off again by saying I appreciate everyone who's been showing support. I'm going to show love every day. Road to 1,000 subscribers. It's been fun so far. You know, I hear a lot of people who check my stuff out for the first time and they let me know. You know, again, they say I'm doing a good job so far. They like my voice. They like the things I'm talking about. And I mean, that's great, you know, things to hear. But also, I really appreciate when people come out and reach out to me and say, yo, you're the reason I even am paying attention to sports now. Or you just, you know, you're teaching me new things about sports. And I'm not really into the sports world. And I'm learning stuff from your podcast, which at the end of the day is the goal of what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to come out here, make some entertaining content, and at the same time introduce some non-big time sports fans into the sports world, accept them with open arms, teach them something, tell them some things that I know, my opinions, what I've learned, some things that I know, and how much this means to me. And overall just making a community of where, we can not only grow the NBA fan base, the NFL fan base, the college football fan base, just overall making a community where we could all just sit down, talk about sports, have conversations about sports gambling, be gambling degenerates, whatever you want to do. We want to talk about football teams. We want to talk about college football. We want to talk about some of these prospects. And I just want to be able to be out here and be able to just be someone that people can, comment a question. I can come break it down for you. You have a debate you've been having going on with your friends and you want to come out here and share it in the comments. And then I come out here and break it down. I want to be that type of guy who just has a lot of, communication and discussions with the people supporting him. So again, I want this to be a fun, safe place where we can come out here and just talk about ball, talk about sports, and whatever you guys want to get off your chest, because I'm here to listen. I'm here to talk. And that's the most important part of what I'm trying to do here. But with that being said, the first topic of discussion, without anything first, I want to discuss last Sunday's matchup versus the New York Knicks versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I just want to give a big shout out to Josh Hart. I mean, listen, 13, 19, and 10, 3 from 6 from 3. I mean, Jalen Brunson gets hurt early, right? And then you have to see these guys step up. I mean, but just to see Josh Hart, I mean, he was everything this past Sunday. I mean, Dante DiVincenzo, again, another great game. 6 for 14, 3-point from the 3-point line, 28 points. Miles McBride, who stepped in with Jalen Brunson getting hurt. I mean, 20 points, 4 from 9 from 3. And then you had Bogdanovich with 14 off the bench. I mean, this was just a great performance. I mean, listen, yes, the Cavs without Donovan Mitchell, but they were still, but other than that, were at full health. They had everybody there. They had Evan Mobley. They had Jared Allen. And what the Knicks did was absolutely just phenomenal. I mean, they were playing great basketball. Josh Hart, again, was just doing everything. He was getting rebounds. He was getting boards. He was getting rebounds. He was getting assists. He was playmaking. I mean, he was running the offense without Jalen Brunson being there. Him and Dante DiVincenzo, I mean, just did absolutely phenomenal. And Dante DiVincenzo deserves a huge shout out for how phenomenal he's been playing this year. He's been a great pickup and acquisition in free agency this past offseason. Obviously, he took a huge jump from what we've seen with him in his time in Golden State, but I mean, he has played phenomenal. I mean, he was making key steals down the stretch of that game. He was playing great defense. And I mean, listen, beating the Cavs without your number one star, and without your number two, like you're missing OG Anunoby, you're missing Jalen Brunson who got hurt, right? Your number one player, you're missing Julius Randle, you're missing Mitchell Robinson, you're missing all these guys, and you're still able to go out here in Cleveland and go out there and get a win like this. I mean, it was just phenomenal. And just Josh Hart, I mean, 19 rebounds as a guard is just ridiculous, right? And we've seen him get these 10 rebound games, these 11 rebound games. I mean, he's a great rebounding guard, and he can facilitate, and he just went to a whole nother level, right? And I like to see this from players like Josh Hart, just because he is a fantastic definition of what a role player is supposed to be doing. He's supposed to play make. He's supposed to give you good defense. He's supposed to give you, 10, 12 points here and there. And I mean, just what he's done, shooting 50% from 3 this game, with Dante DiVincenzo and Miles McBride and the whole team playing well together. It was just great to see. You know what I'm saying? It is a little worrisome for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, listen, I understand you're missing Donovan Mitchell, your number one player, your superstar on that team, but I just expected a much better game from this Cleveland team. I mean, you're at home, you're well rested. You're playing a team who's again has missing 4 stars on their team. You know what I'm saying? And their team is still deep, don't get me wrong, but the Knicks are missing 4 of their best players. And when you have an opportunity to go out there and get a win like this, and you know what I'm saying, and just continue to build on that seeding, to rise to the 2 seed. It's just something you have to take advantage of. And to be honest, I am very disappointed in what I've seen from Darius Garland. I mean, just 2 years ago, before they even traded for Donovan Mitchell, I mean, I really thought Darius Garland was going to be a franchise point guard. I thought he was going to be a franchise player. I thought he was going to be a guy who, I mean, I was a big fan, and I watched a lot of their games when they were that play-in team that went to the play-in and lost to Brooklyn, unfortunately, because they just didn't have enough talent. But that team, I was a huge fan of that team. Darius Garland leading the way, being an all-star caliber player. He did end up being an all-star that year. And again, he was just phenomenal this year. He was playmaking, he was shooting efficiently, he could shoot the 3, he was having his takeover games, and I mean, it was a fun team to watch. And then as soon as Donovan Mitchell comes in and he takes a step back, obviously, well, granted, it is Donovan Mitchell at the end of the day, right? And I mean, to me, obviously, that's 2 ball-dominant guys, and now you see Donovan Mitchell's playmaking rise. You see Donovan Mitchell's playmaking going up this year. It's at an all-time high. And then Darius Garland, he's been dealing with injuries all throughout this year, so he's been in and out of the lineup. And then even when he's in the lineup, he hasn't really had that effect on a game that I've seen in the past, that I've seen from, and that I expected from Darius Garland. Because listen, Darius Garland to me is an elite player. I truly think, I understand he's a small guard, but I think he's an elite player, and you could use him as a number 1 player. You could use him as your number 1 ball handler and, build around him in that sense. Obviously, I do think you need another superstar, pairing him up with another, maybe a dominant big man or something like that. But obviously, it's going to be interesting in Cleveland if they don't make a deep playoff run and they don't stick together. We're hearing Donovan Mitchell in the Lakers trade discussions, and I've heard Darius Garland's names come up in trade discussions again, because listen, if I'm Darius Garland, I understand, Donovan Mitchell is Donovan Mitchell, but what he was doing with that Cavs team before they got there when he was the number 1 man, I mean, was just good. And he was the main, I mean, Karis LeVert was not having a type of year that he has these past 2 years since, but before that, like the team was struggling. He literally elevated the team. Evan Mobley was not as good as a scorer as he was in his rookie year. Jared Allen, again, has just continued to get better. And so, again, I just think Darius Garland, I mean, the question is in the air. Like, should Darius Garland be moved? Should he go take over a team who needs a point guard and he can be the main ball handler? I think he should definitely, think about it, depending on how well this meshes this postseason. Because if they don't make a deep playoff run, someone's going to be gone. Whether it's Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, someone's going to be gone. There's, we've heard Donovan Mitchell already, he wants to compete for championships. He wants to win. And so it will definitely be interesting to see how this plays off this offseason. And then the next team we have to discuss, I mean, it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. Listen, what I have witnessed these past 4 or 5 games has just been very concerning for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Again, I am a huge fan of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think a great young team. I'm a big SGA fan. SGA right now is my MVP frontrunner. But with that being said, I mean, listen, they are just too small, right? And after losing last night to my Los Angeles Lakers, listen, we are playing phenomenal basketball at the moment. I mean, we have D'Lo shooting 39% from 3 in these last couple games. We have Austin Reeves playing well, LeBron playing well, AD's, he's having his moments. And then you have Rui Hachimura, who since he's been in the starting lineup has been playing great. And we've really been meshing well lately. Our defense has been looking good. Our defense has been looking great. And we've been able to shoot, which has been completely different from the start of the season. And we are shooting, middle of the pack when it comes to 3-point shots attempted and made, right? When in the beginning of the year, in the first, 3 months of the season, we were bottom 10, we were bottom 30. You know what I'm saying? So they did run into a good team. We're playing good right now, but again, it is OKC at the end of the day. But I mean, listen, they just allowed Yusuf Nurkic to go get out there and get 30 rebounds, a career high in for the Phoenix Suns organization, right? I mean, a season a single game record for the Phoenix Suns in their franchise history, which again is insane to think about. The fact that they are allowing someone like Nurkic is not a bad player, but Nurkic is not even an elite center, right? He does good at what he's supposed to do. He's able to rebound, to close out possessions, to get you 10 and 10 consistently, right? And then he can make just a little bit. But again, I am not scared of the Phoenix Suns. I don't think the Phoenix Suns are going to be a scary team in the postseason. I don't think the Phoenix Suns are a team you look at in the postseason and match them against some of these teams and think that they're going to make a deep run. I'm not a fan of their, lack of depth. I'm not a fan of KD in the postseason. I'm not a fan of Devin Booker in the postseason, and even Bradley Beal. I'm just not a fan of it. Obviously, I understand the ceiling, the potential ceiling of having three deadly scorers like that, but we have not seen enough minutes of all of them together. And I mean, listen, just the other night, they end up losing to the Rockets at home. You know what I'm saying? Bradley Beal starts throwing getting into Jalen Green's face. Jalen Green goes out there and drops 27 on him and puts him away. And there's huge question marks for the Phoenix Suns, of course, but the only reason that game was close against OKC was because Nurkic had 30 rebounds. You know what I'm saying? Chet, again, I know he's 7 foot, but he spaces the floor out. He typically spots up in the corner and will catch and shoot and stuff like that. He's definitely capable of putting the ball on the floor and creating for himself and creating his own, but for the most part, I mean, they want him out there for the spacing. So you don't have a guy down there who's a true center who's going to go out there and go chase boards. And even then, I mean, Chet is not really built into his frame. You know what I'm saying? He's not, there's issues rebounding for him. For him being that big, you would like to see him have more rebounds and be, more dominant in the paint, offensively especially. But again, he's playing his role. He's allowed SGA to have this elite all-time spacing, and it's worked out for them. I mean, their offense is on fire. I mean, look at number 2 seed in the West, number 1 seed in the West before last night. But there are just a lot of question marks with this team and with this size. And I'm not the only one to say it, but truly, that when you allow a team to out-rebound you like that, it not only keeps other teams in games, but it gives them second chance opportunities. It just gives them, ability to close out possessions, less offensive rebounds for yourself, more defensive rebounds for them. And when they're also getting the offensive rebounds and getting more second chance points against a team like Phoenix, like you're giving Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant more chances to score, and it's just it's concerning. It's concerning because the fact that if this offense is not playing at an elite level, and I'm talking elite, it becomes concerning because can your defense get enough stops? Can you get enough rebounds to close out possessions to put teams away? You know what I'm saying? That's what the Nuggets do. That's what the Lakers do. I mean, listen, when the Nuggets come down the stretch, it's Jokic. Jokic's going to go out there and go make plays. He's going to get you rebounds. He's going to get you, he's going to give you second chance opportunities. He's going to do his thing down there. And when you're lacking that presence down there in the paint, getting rebounds, closing possessions out, it becomes concerning because, you match up against a team like Minnesota, a team who's long, who's lengthy, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Cat, all these guys are capable of rebounding, playing defense. Cat, not so much, but you know what I'm saying? You have the rim protection. You have a guy who's going to close out possessions, getting boards, and Rudy Gobert. Anthony Edwards, who's a lengthy defender, right? And he's capable of scoring and playing defense. And it just becomes a bit concerning. And because when a team like the Lakers physically dominates you, you know what I'm saying? Your offense has a little bit of a spurt. You're not as on point as you've been this last month of basketball. But I mean, it can be concerning because if your offense needs to go out there and outscore everybody, and just be playing perfect every night, I mean, it becomes a huge question mark. Like, can this team truly make a run in the playoffs when, you start tightening up, strategies become different, game plans become different, playoff basketball is a different atmosphere, it's a different level, it's a different beast, you know what I'm saying? So when you're sitting here and you're looking at the Oklahoma City Thunder, you look at who they got and it's just a lot of small, undersized guys, and it's something, typically it's not a recipe for success, to make a championship, which again, they're a young team. They have nothing to worry about. If they go out there and lose in the first round as the 1 seed, nobody's going to, knock them for it. They're a young team. It's their first time going to be in the playoffs with this unit. You know what I'm saying? We've seen what they did last year in the play and not even making it to the playoffs. But again, it's going to be, a question to be had, a discussion to be made. Obviously, they can, fix that size issue in the offseason with some free agents, maybe signing someone like Andre Drummond, who's going to be up for free agency, someone in those type of talks. But again, it is a huge question mark because of the lack of rebounding, the lack of size the Oklahoma City Thunder truly have. And then going straight into our next topic, our next thing, the discussion is going to be my Los Angeles Lakers. Listen, these last 2 games, these last 2-3 wins are exactly why the Lakers, we are, as a fan base, as a team, are not scared to go out there and go through the play-in and go play the number 1 seed straight off the bat. You've seen us do it last year against Memphis. We played the 2 seed. We went through the play-in, handled business. Boom, right? We don't fear anybody in a best of 1, all right? Everybody knows the Lakers are more than capable of winning that 1 game, right? If we have to win that 1 game and solidify our spot in the playoffs. We've done it before. Who else other than us? You know what I'm saying? We are a team in a series of 7. It's questionable. There are debates to be had. There are concerns. But if we're talking about a best of 1, when you have Anthony Davis, listen, the only team Anthony Davis does not perform against is the Denver Nuggets. You know what I'm saying? He inconsistently does not want to show up against the Denver Nuggets. And so if we're not playing the Denver Nuggets in the play-in, you know what I'm saying, which we're not, then this is just perfect for us going forward. Because listen, when you have D'Angelo Russell playing as well as he is, lights out, shooting from 3, you have Austin Reeves being a complimentary player, playmaking, shooting, making the shots that he's given. You have LeBron just kind of playing a natural PG position. You're kind of letting him kick back, kick his feet up until the playoffs start. He had that takeover moment against the Clippers, but we as a team are just playing great basketball. We're playing efficient. We're playing through AD. Rui Hachimura is playing phenomenal. D'Lo has been a big time player for us down the last 2 month of basketball. He's been playing phenomenal. Without Jared Vanderbilt, who's the one guy who I really need to see him get back in this lineup for the defensive reasons. I think he's a great player. But before Jared Vanderbilt even got hurt, he was shooting 54% through that first week back, and when you have someone like Jared Vanderbilt shooting at, maybe his volume is not as high, but when that efficient from 3, listen, this team can be very scary, right? And that's exactly why we match up well against a lot of these teams in the play-in. We're not scared of the Kings, all right? De'Aaron Fox, great player. Domantas Sabonis, great player. But again, we're not scared of the Suns. We're not scared of the Kings. We're not scared of them. They're, again, same kind of question. A little bit undersized. Obviously, Sabonis. If I had to pick my pick between Sabonis and AD, I'm taking AD. And then we have LeBron. And then they have De'Aaron Fox. Sure. We got D'Lo. We got, you know what I'm saying? So a team like that, and even the New Orleans Pelicans, right? Zion and those boys, we just seen what we did to them in the in-season tournament, right? We seen what we did to them. We bullied them. We were the aggressor. We dominated them. We were playing defense. Zion, again, has been not phenomenal. He's been good, but he hasn't been phenomenal. He hasn't been the all-star MVP caliber top 5 player that he was supposed to be, or that the hype was about, you know what I'm saying? And then Brandon Ingram's not playing at a crazy level. They're kind of just cruising right now. Not a team I'm scared of. There's the Phoenix Suns, again, not a team I'm scared of. They've only beaten us once this year, right? Other than that, we've played them 5 times. We've won 4. We've beat them 4 times. So there's definitely a lot to be looking forward to as a Lakers fan, right? When you have the offense coming at this time, we're playing this well, you know what I'm saying? You just seen what we did to the Clippers, 21-game comeback, right? 21-point comeback. They had Kawhi, they had Harden. Sure, they didn't have Paul George or Zubac, but again, nobody's scared of Zubac. Paul George is a good player, but listen, when we're hooping like that, it's over with, right? And I still think LeBron has the ability to go out there in the playoffs and 1 or 2 games in the series, go out there and just take over like he did against the Clippers. Obviously, we need to play through AD. We need AD to be dominant. We need AD to be a top 5 player this postseason. He needs to go out there and get buckets, play defense, get rebounds. He needs to go out there and be the best version of himself. And I think we have a very good chance of getting that, right? And again, we're the Los Angeles Lakers. We are not scared of going to play the Nuggets in the first round. We're not scared of going to play the Timberwolves. We're not scared of playing OKC. We're not scared of anybody in the West. All right. That's just how we are. We have LeBron James, one of the greatest players ever, right? If he's, you know what I'm saying? We have AD, who's a top 5 defender in the league. And he's a top 5 center, you know, D'Lo, who's playing like an elite PG right now, right? Which is another level of scoring that we have not had from D'Lo last year. You know what I'm saying? He was losing playoff rotation minutes because he was incapable of scoring. And now you're telling me D'Lo had the capability of winning us a game himself, you know? It's interesting. And I think we're all coming together at the right time. We have a tough stretch going up. But again, I think we are coming together at the right time. We're playing great basketball. The lineup is consistent. You know who's going out there. There was one questionable decision when we were playing the Nuggets, right? Cam Reddish was out there instead of D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell had 17 points, was playing good basketball, and Darvin Ham did not put him in the closing lineup. So again, a bit of a questionable decision. That one was obviously on him. I obviously 100% assume it was because of defensive reasons you want to bring Cam Reddish in, right? He had hit 1-3 that entire game, but that's not someone in a situation like that, which Denver's not a top 5 defensive team, right? And I do like our odds with D'Lo out there to go get a bucket against Jamal Murray. I do like our chances. I like our chances of Austin Reeves. So I would have liked to see D'Lo go out there. Again, I think we matched up well against them defensively, and I think, you know, we play them good. It's not like we're out here getting blown out. We play them good. We play them tight. We play them close. We just can't win close games. And that just so happens how Denver beats us every single time. So again, am I saying we're going to win the title? No. Am I optimistic we're going to win the title? Yes, because I'm a Lakers fan. You know what I'm saying? I'm a hardcore fan, so I'm delusional. So I'm out here thinking we're going to win a chip every single year, no matter how bad we truly are. You know, when we had Westbrook, I was out here saying we're going to win a chip. But, you know, that's me being delusional. But again, I think this team is coming together at the right time. We're playing great basketball. You know, AD, a good game last night, a little good bounce back game for him. And I mean, listen, when you play the number 1 team in the West and you don't have to play your starters for the entire fourth quarter, it's a great sign. Great sign going forward. And now I want to get into some NFL talk. Obviously, a couple notable moves being made in the NFL offseason. Brian Burns gets franchise tagged by the Carolina Panthers, which again, I think it was a must sign. Listen, you have a lot of cap space to go out here and go make some moves and go, you know, build a team around Bryce Young, go get him some linemen, go get him some protection. You know, you have a little bit extra salary cap space. Go overpay if you have to. You've got to get some pieces around Bryce Young, right? And again, Brian Burns had a remarkable year just a year ago. Last year was not as great as 2 years ago, but he's still a great pass rusher, and I think he's going to have a great season this upcoming season. You need all the pieces you can have in Carolina, right? But the biggest point of discussion is going to be Russell Wilson was cut from the Denver Broncos, right? He is now a free agent, and there's only 2 logical teams that he could possibly go to, and that's got to be the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, the Atlanta Falcons, we've heard a lot of talks about Kirk Cousins going in that direction, going that route with that type of team, that type of defense, that team that won 7 games with Desmond Ridder, who we've seen is not a very good quarterback, right? So now you put Russell Wilson in a situation of being able to not only play on a possible league minimum, you know what I'm saying, a $2 million, $3 million contract. You know, it's going to be an easy pay, an easy contract just to add on, to add to the cap space. You know, if you can get him for cheap, you're going to get him for cheap. Nobody's going to pay Russell Wilson that much money. I don't think anybody in the NFL is going to pay Russell Wilson any sort of money, right? So you're going to get him for a league minimum, a QB, whatever you want to do, QB minimum, veteran minimum, however it's going to be, $6 million, $5 million, whatever, right? But does Russell Wilson solve your Kenny Pickett issues, your lackluster quarterback issues? I'm not sure. I think you were getting a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett, obviously, which is you just need a better quarterback than Kenny Pickett, right? We've seen this team go to the playoffs with Mason Rudolph, right? And we've seen the style of football they want to play, which, again, very similar to what he wanted to do in Denver, what he was trying to do with Sean Payton, just not work out that well, right? So now you put him on a team with a great defense, a good run game. You have 2 running backs, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, right? Deontay Johnson, if he decides to stay, you have George Pickens, who's been playing phenomenal this year with the low volume he had. I mean, he's been phenomenal with lackluster QBs. And now you put in someone like Russell Wilson, who could just give you more consistent targets than Kenny Pickett can. I mean, it just sounds like a good chance, a good fit, really. From what you want from Russell Wilson, you're going to bring down the turnover rate. You're going to increase the completion percentage, right? You're going to have a good TD to interception ratio, and he's going to be game managing, you know what I'm saying? And that's all he needs to do here to have some sort of success, because everything else is here. The pieces are here. They have Cameron Hayward. You have TJ Watt, right? You have Joey Porter Jr. You have these pieces. I mean, this team is ready to win, right? I'm not going to say going to win a Super Bowl, but win some games, win in the division. You're having Joe Burrow is coming back off of injury. He's going to be playing a huge part. And now you had 3 teams who just made the playoffs, and the only team that missed it was Cincinnati Bengals, who, again, played without Joe Burrow and still managed to win 8 games. I mean, listen, you have to go out there and you have to get someone instead of Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett is the worst possible quarterback situation for you. And, you know, it hasn't worked out. You gave him plenty of chances, right? Kenny Pickett is not the answer. Kenny Pickett is not the solution, right? And adding Russell Wilson into this mix, I think, can be a great chance. Obviously, I think it could be a good mesh. I mean, because the only other option is Justin Fields. And to me, Justin Fields is... If you are the Pittsburgh Steelers, you bring in a guy like Justin Fields. If you decide to take that route, you go with, and this is how I'm thinking, you bring in Justin Fields, you have him on the last year of his rookie contract, right? You bring him in, you have a dual threat quarterback, which now you'll look like a version of the Baltimore Ravens, right? You have an athletic quarterback, a quarterback who can run for 1,000 yards to where you don't have to really throw the ball that much, right? And we just seen Chicago win 7 games like that. You know what I'm saying? So, and now you're telling me, you know, Justin Fields is going to have some better receivers. He's going to have Deontay Johnson, Peter, the tight end, and then you're going to have George Pickens. I mean, it could potentially mesh well. But I mean, listen, worst comes to worst, you get someone like Justin Fields, you go out there, you don't play very good, you suck this year, then boom, you're right back into the let's go pick for a new quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Because what you've been able to do with Kenny Pickett and with lackluster quarterback play these last 2 to 3 years has just been remarkable. I mean, even with Big Ben's last year, the defense carried them to the playoffs, and to just see someone like Mike Tomlin consistently make the playoffs with their situations that they have, you know, I mean, it's been great to see. So a lot of respect to Mike Tomlin. But again, this quarterback situation needs to be addressed now. It needs to be addressed fast, right? Is Justin Fields the answer? I'm not high on Justin Fields, because eventually you're just going to run into the same constant position of our quarterback is holding us back from winning a playoff game, because we all know what happened to Lamar Jackson his first 2 years when he made the playoffs. They just played him. They made him throw the ball, and that's where he was uncomfortable, right? And you've seen a lot of teams do it now today. You've seen the Chiefs do it, right? So is, you know, having an offense like that the answer? No. Can it give you some regular season success? Yes, right? A good defense and a 3-headed offense. You know, you have receivers, running backs, and a dual threat quarterback who just ran for 1,000 yards. So, do you go and invest in regular season wins to confirm you're going to make the playoffs and play on something in free agency? I mean, you draft well, you develop that defense well. You know, you hit on George Pickens. Deontay Johnson's been a little underwhelming since his rookie year, but I still have high hopes for him. He's a great route runner, just cannot catch the ball. And, I mean, or do you invest in someone like Russell Wilson, who, again, if you go out there, pay him a league minimum, you know, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You can go chase somebody in the free agents. I mean, there'll be some quarterbacks up for free hitting the market next year, you know? You just take a step back for 1 year and just pray you can keep the defense together, or pray you can hit on some more picks? I don't know. But the Pittsburgh Steelers do have a lot of things to consider and take into consideration because it's going to be an interesting situation for them going forward. I mean, listen, you're in a tough division. 3 teams. You were the third team to make the playoffs this past year. And now, again, Joe Burrow's coming back. Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP, still going to be there. I mean, does he get injured and you guys slip in? I don't know. Aaron Rodgers coming back. Another team, another quarterback you have to worry about in the AFC. I mean, it's going to be an interesting conversation. It's going to be interesting to see which way the Pittsburgh Steelers lean, because they've got to figure something out. I mean, they got to give some of these guys, George Pickens, this defense, some sort of hope on offense. And I do think Russell Wilson is the best bet if you want to get just consistent quarterback play, right? Doesn't have a lot of turnovers, high completion percentage, gives his receivers a chance. You've seen him with Sean Payton. It didn't look like they were meshing well. So now you kind of play to Russell Wilson's strengths. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely going to be interesting going forward. And I hope for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they truly figure it out because they have so much talent on that team. It would be a shame to not see them take advantage of it this upcoming year. And now with our last topic of discussion, I mean, I just want to get into the NFL Combine this past weekend that just happened. And obviously, first things first, I mean, the discussion on QBs not throwing, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Drake May, not throwing at the Combine. And a lot of people were questioning that they don't want to compete. They don't want to go out there to, just compete and show they are the best quarterback or the best receiver, or whoever, you know what I'm saying? Like, because Marvin Harrison Jr. did the same thing. He sat out, right? And I was listening to Joel Klatt's college football show, the Joel Klatt show, right? All college football, that's where I go listen. I mean, he's the best in the business. He runs a lot of the games, and he is a face of college football. And then so when you start to, sit down and truly listen to him break things down, I mean, he proved a great point in saying that what do these guys have to gain from the Combine? You know what I'm saying? You go out here, Caleb Williams comes out here. He has a great performance. He throws great. He does great interviews. He tests well and all these things. What does it do for him? He's still undoubtedly going to be the number 1 pick. Drake May, same thing. You're undoubtedly going to be a top 3 pick, top 4 pick, regardless of what order it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. We know who it's going to be. Very, very high, very, very confident that the first 4 picks in whatever order is going to be Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., right? And people talk about, Penix is out here, Bo Nix is out here, and J.J. McCarthy, and those guys have something to prove. They have something to gain. You know what I'm saying? And people like J.J. McCarthy, he's been one of the QBs that's been criticized a lot in this whole entire draft process. So now he has the opportunity to go to the Combine and go throw some nice passes, go through these drills, perform well in the 40, in the shuttle, and do all these drilling and these testing, right? But they have something to gain from this whole process, this whole draft process. And I'm not saying the NFL draft is like if you perform the NFL draft, you are automatic Hall of Famer. No, that's not what it means. The NFL draft does not mean anything about talent. We've seen that in the past. In the likes of John Ross, someone who broke the 40 and didn't perform. We've seen people go out here and just have remarkable pro days or things like that. Like Zach Wilson looked phenomenal at the Combine. Was not a great quarterback. So then you get in these situations. Someone like DK Metcalf, for example, he goes out there, tests phenomenal. He shows his athletic freakiness, right? And then he goes out there as a great rookie year, and then since then it's slowed down. Has not been the same DK since his rookie year. And, so obviously the Combine does not mean everything. But for some of these lower-end quarterbacks, these lower-end players, you have an opportunity to raise your stock. J.J. McCarthy, you're competing to be the 5th quarterback taken off the board, 4th quarterback taken off the board. Bo Nix, same thing, 4th quarterback taken off the board. You're trying to raise your stock. Michael Penix, again, you're trying to raise your stock, get yourself higher on that that draft list projections. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to go out here and, like these little things that can win over teams to decide for them to draft you can not only make you millions, right? But it also just makes the chance you get off the board earlier to a, maybe to a better situation, maybe to a different situation. Maybe, maybe more teams want to trade up and get you, or someone, you impress a team so much they want to trade up to get you, or, trade down a pick or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's all for opportunity for these guys to go out here and improve their stock, improve their worth, right? Like Xavier Worthy broke the 40-yard dash record, right? Goes out here and he just made himself a lot of money because now, listen, somebody's going to take a chance on him because of the 40-yard dash time. Obviously, again, we've seen in the past, the 40-yard dash is not how you play football. You don't run 40-yard dashes on the football field, right? There's a change of movement, change of direction, getting open, separation, especially as a receiver, right? But he made himself millions of dollars going to the combine, increasing his stock, right? And for Xavier Worthy in particular, I heard a lot of John Ross comparisons. And to me, listen, John Ross, when he came out of the NFL draft, he had one good year where he put up about, I think, 18 touchdowns on the season, right? He was in the Heisman conversation for a little bit at Washington with Jake Browning. They were the number 4 team in the country up until USC sent them home. Sam Darnold sent them home, right? But John Ross, other than that one junior year, was, not phenomenal, not great, was not a top first-round pick good, right? Like, they took that guy completely on upside. And again, in college football, you can get away with some of that stuff. And obviously, his game did not translate to the NFL, not making it work out. And a couple teams took chances on him because the fact that his speed was just out of this world. Right? But the thing about Xavier Worthy, and again, I hate UT, so it hates for me to talk about this, but Xavier Worthy had 3 good years at Texas. Junior year, solid. Sophomore year, solid. Freshman year, solid. There was no bad years for him. There was no year where you looked at him and was like, I don't see it, And that's kind of how it is for QBs in a sense, but for receivers, they want to see you dominate, Marvin Harrison Jr., one of the only Ohio State wide receiver in the last 8 years to win 2 All-Americans while he was at his time at Ohio State, which is remarkable compared to who we had that came out of Ohio State. Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, a lot of guys, Jackson Smith and then Jigba. A lot of guys came out of here and nobody did what Marvin Harrison Jr. did. Right? So he showed you the consistency. Listen, again, you watch Marvin Harrison Jr.'s tape and he is just phenomenal. He's remarkable. He creates separation. He wins one-on-one. His tape against Will Johnson when they played Michigan was, he was just cooking them. Will Johnson's a great elite corner. One of the best in the Big Ten. Marvin Harrison Jr. just owned him that day. Michigan ends up pulling out the win, but still, Marvin Harrison Jr. was playing with not a top 5 quarterback and doing what he did. Again, I understand it's Ohio State, but he wasn't playing with a great quarterback. And he was hands down the best the best receiver in college football. It's as impressive. And that goes to show on why them, like if Marvin Harrison Jr. goes out here and runs a 4.2 40, if he breaks the 40-yard dash record, his stock does not rise. He will still be the number 1 receiver taken off the board. He will still be the 4th player on this year's draft selected. So, again, and one of the biggest people I thought that made a big jump for himself at the combine has got to be Quinyon Mitchell. Cornerback out of Toledo ended up running a 4.33. His field work was nice. His drilling was nice. His testing was great. And I watched a good amount of tape on Quinyon Mitchell. And I think, listen, playing against lower competition, obviously you have to dominate. And that's exactly what he did playing in the MEC conference. Some of the best teams he played was Miami. Again, 10-2 team. But he was otherworldly compared to this type of competition. And I get it, lower end competition. But if you watch him play, his ball skills, being able to track the ball, playing through receivers' hands, was phenomenal. And then you watched him go out there and play at the Senior Bowl, do the one-on-ones and all the receivers out there, which again, great receivers out there, right? They all had a chance to go out there and he just, again, improved, impressed. I mean, and he has a lot of makeup speed. I mean, he plays very, very fast. He's very lengthy, very long. You know, the new type of DB size that you want to see in the NFL, right? But I mean, listen, I've heard a lot of talk about Terrion Arnold out here. You know, he was supposed to be he's mock drafted as be a Raider. You know what I'm saying? But after seeing Quinion Mitchell go out here and perform like that, and then looking back at his tape and seeing, you know, I mean, you could see his game should translate to the next level. I mean, I understand. He was playing lower in competition. It would be a bit of a reach. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can get him in the round 2. You know, he could definitely be a round 2 guy, but his stock definitely increased after this weekend. He was already projected the 38th best recruit prospect in this draft, and he's definitely going to go up. And I mean, maybe, you know, some team takes him early second, but his stock definitely went up. I mean, but like Terrion Arnold, we're on a 4.5, not fast, not very insanely fast. I mean, it's okay. It's not great. It's good. And then you look at him to, you know, a lot of people say he plays faster on tape and things like that. But when I watch Terrion Arnold's tape, I just don't see a lot of one-on-one opportunities. You know, like not a lot of people were testing him. I mean, is it the Alabama effect? Like, you know, you pick your matchups, and I know you have Kool-Aid McKinstry on the other side. But I don't know. His tape just did not say a lot to me, you know? And I get it. It's Alabama. Alabama, for the most part, comes out with great players. They produce a lot. Their players come in, and you see a lot of them are very successful in the NFL, especially a lot of DBs. But again, his tape does not scream special to me. He's still gonna go in the first round because my opinion does not mean jack shit, right? I'm not out here drafting kids. But Terrion Arnold, I mean, again, I didn't see anything crazy from him on film. He doesn't, you know, it looked like they were with Alabama in a lot of the clips I've seen of him so far. It was a lot of them playing zone, any opportunities to make plays on balls, and just reading the quarterback's eyes, you know, which is great. I mean, you need instincts. You need to be able to play both man and zone, obviously. Being able to play zone efficiently is great. I mean, the New York Jets play a lot of zone, and that secondary is elite, you know? So, again, yeah, I mean, he's a great talent. I mean, I would just like to see more film on him. I like to see a lot more film on a lot of these guys. And from what I'm going to start doing going forward is, you know, I'm going to start breaking down receiver groups, DB groups, quarterback groups, and really go in depth on, you know, it won't necessarily be a podcast episode, but it'll be a little episode where I just get down and start breaking down some of these recruits, and just breaking down my favorites, what I've seen from film. Take a lot more time to, you know, because I mean, listen, I just thought about this, and that was just something I'm going to share with you guys. But I mean, Quentin Johnson, arguably one of the worst receivers this year, was taken in the first round by the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, listen, the only person screaming red flags about Quentin Johnson that I was aware of, said it on TV, said it on tape, was Steve Smith Sr. You know, he was out there doing his little underdog fantasy breakdown, scouting, you know, breaking down receivers, and he broke down all the red flags on Quentin Johnson. You know, said he couldn't high point a ball, says his separation was not great. You know, he didn't play very physical for his size. And you've seen a lot of those issues this year with Quentin Johnson, you know? And I know the meme of the year was Quentin Johnson telling his mom she's going to retire after he gets drafted, and his career is about to be, you know, people are saying like his career is about to be over before he even gets started. Which sucks for him. I mean, obviously, you have a bad rookie year, you could definitely bounce back. But I mean, listen, Steve Smith Sr. was calling all these red flags, you know? And I also think it'll be interesting to see how many people I can predict are going to excel, how many people I can predict are not going to excel, and their games are not going to translate. Because I mean, as a NFL fan, you know, if you watch college football and you're invested in college football, you get to see a lot of these guys. And for the most part, I mean, for the Raiders picks, I was pretty accurate these last couple of years. I wasn't a big fan of Damian Arnett. I said, why are we reaching for this guy? Clinton Farrell, again, I said, why are we reaching? You could have got a solidified Dexter Lawrence, Quinn Williams. You could have got any of those guys, you know, and you had to take Clinton Farrell and Henry Ruggs. And I know Henry Ruggs was coming through before the accident, but I was a CeeDee Lamb guy. I was the guy who said take CeeDee Lamb first. I said CeeDee Lamb was that guy, and look how he turned out to be. Imagine CeeDee Lamb in Vegas. Just imagine. Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Hunter Renfrow, all like, you know what I'm saying? I've been accurate for the most part. Nate Hobbs, I said he was a great pick in the 4th round. He's been one of the best slot corners in football, right? Amik Robinson, I know he was short, but I said a great 4th round pick. He's played some phenomenal. Jacorian Bennett, I'm a big fan of, right? He's got a lot of speed on him. He made some plays in the beginning of the year, but he had too many holding penalties, PI penalties, and things like that. So obviously he lost his starting spot, but you have a whole nother offseason to get better, get faster, and his catch-up speed is remarkable. But I mean, for the most part, I've been pretty I've been pretty good, consistent with my picks on who's going to be good and who's not. When we drafted Alex Leatherwood, I was like, oh, well, what are we doing? And the boy didn't end up being on our team anymore. I mean, look at that. Look at the Raiders. Look how many players on the Raiders have been drafted in the last 3 to 4 years and are not even on the motherfucking team no more. Like, it's just, so frustrating, man. Especially that year we drafted Jonathan Abrams, Trayvon Mullen, all in the first 2 rounds. The only person who hit was and Clinton Farrell. The only person who hit was Josh Jacobs. And Max Crosby that year in the 4th round. Max Crosby was the year before. But, again, frustrating stuff, man. Especially because everybody in the room was screaming CeeDee Lamb. I was so mad when he drafted Henry Ruggs. I understood it. Fast guy. People out here, oozing and drooling over him. But I wanted CeeDee Lamb from the get. I would have loved CeeDee Lamb over here. And now we're projected to take a cornerback in the 1st round, which I think is, obviously, you guys know how I feel. If we're not taking if we don't get a quarterback in free agency, obviously we got to get a quarterback in the draft. So whether that means we end up taking JJ McCarthy when he falls to us, or questions all in the air. But with that being said, it's enough of the ranting about my team. I hope y'all enjoyed. Again, this was another episode of the No Name Podcast with your boy Young Rich. Hope y'all enjoyed listening and tuning in to me ranting a little bit, kind of all over the place today. But with that being said, I appreciate everyone for showing me love again, as always. And if you don't already, go follow me on Instagram, No Name Podcast. Link will be in the description below. TikTok, No Name Podcast. Link will be in the description below as well. Go check that out. Support, like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications. And see you.